What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the SPY, the Nasdaq, the QQQs, and break down what's going on with the overall market and why the market might get a temporary rebound relatively soon. Now, I know that sounds like crazy given all the bad headlines and news that's essentially coming out, but I want to break down why it is very possible, why the technicals are suggesting it is very likely, and whether or not this is actually going to last for a couple of days or for the remainder of the week. Now, before I break anything down about this, before I get into any more details, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed 7 free stocks plus free level 2 data. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in under 3 weeks. Don't forget to check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. When it comes to the overall market, SPY was down 1.44% for the day on Friday, and overall, this thing did actually form almost a double bottom-like formation around the 384 level. Now, the real question is, could the market get a bit of a rebound, or are we just going to continue to tank? And this will depend heavily on some big news. Now, for Tuesday, we actually have CPI coming out. So we have one last full day before CPI ends up coming out. I also want to note that there are tons of headlines saying the market's going to crash. The market crash is more likely. We're seeing more analysts continuing to spread this news. Is it possible? Sure. If more banks collapse, yes, it can happen as soon as tomorrow. It is very possible. But there's also the possibility that this is a trap and the market might actually rebound it temporarily to trap some shorts. It's possible. I'm not promising it, but I want to break down why I do think it's a little bit more likely. The market right now is at extreme levels. People are very fearful. They think the market's about to tank. The crash is here. Now, when the majority of people are in agreement to this, it might not be that easy. Going back, you have to remember, from March 17th, we have quadruple witching. And we have a 2.04 put to call ratio with $400, which is where max pain is. Not saying we have to get there exactly, but we could see the market actually rebound based off what market makers want. Now, in order for this to happen, we have to make sure there's not like any super negative news involving other banks that comes out. We also don't want CPI to be way too hot. We don't want a crash to perpetuate. This is going to be very dependent on different pieces of data. But if we just assume that another bank is not going to collapse this week, and also CPI is just maybe as expected, even if it's just barely meeting expectations, there is a chance the market could actually rebound a little bit. The market makers want that to happen. You have to remember that. They want this to happen by Friday. It could end up playing out. From a technical standpoint, I just want to note that given everything going on with Silicon Valley Bank, the Fed is going to be having a meeting tomorrow in the morning, and they're going to be talking about what's going on with it, how they're going to adjust their policies to either help out banks or whatever they have to do. This could affect how the market moves. But I just want you guys to notice how much we sold off over the last 5 days. SPY was at 410. We crashed all the way down to about 384, and we're almost in like oversold territory. Now, remember this. When it comes to the overall RSI on the daily, this is a bullish divergence, a hidden bullish divergence that's forming. The RSI was moderate during these levels. We push up all the way and we come down super hard in a very short period of time, especially overall, we made a higher low relative to this low. The RSI is making a lower low. This typically tells us the market could rebound relatively soon. For tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised if the market doesn't actually rebound too hard. What I'm thinking is I'm prepared for anything, by the way. And I want to just note that we do have a gap in the high 370s. If a bank collapses again and there's more negative news, we could see the market tank. It is a possibility, okay? And there's that gap in the high 370s. We could get there if some bad things happen. But if there's nothing too bad and the market does rebound, We have resistance around this 387.5 zone. Then we have the notorious 388 to about 390 zone. Then we have about the next major level is going to actually be 393. Don't forget about 393. That's going to be pretty huge. And if we break that, then we could get all the way up to about 396. So right here, what's going on with this? And that's essentially going to affect how the market moves. Now, I think this just glitched on me. I'm sorry about that. I'm going to reload my page, but I want to talk about why I believe it's very likely we could see something like this and why you should also be very cautious. I think that there are lots of traps that go on in a market like this. And they're intentionally trying to screw over lots and lots of investors. All right. Now, what makes this very important is when you look at, you know, other stocks out there. If you look at the NASDAQ, this thing's down almost 2%, and we actually bounced off about 11,000. It's a very important level. I believe it's incredibly likely that if SPY gets the rebound, this thing might try to push up tomorrow, as soon as tomorrow. And what I'm seeing is there's a chance we might try to retest 387, trade kind of sideways, and maybe try to push up a little bit higher. But for tomorrow, I see us getting very close to this 387, so maybe closing around there too, trading kind of sideways. And I believe we're going to make an even bigger move after CPI comes out. Do I know what CPI is going to cause? Joe Biden is saying he's so confident it's going to be a good CPI report. I don't know. He could have leaked and maybe he's completely wrong. Who knows? But what I'm believing is there's a chance the market might try to rebound a little bit from here. I'm going to be watching this 387 zone. Be very careful with it. As far as Apple goes, the next major level is going to be this 149.6 to about 150 zone. We might slowly try to rebound towards it. I think tomorrow we're going to trade kind of sideways, then slowly gets to it. And I'd assume that Apple would close pretty flat, maybe just a tiny bit green. I think the market is due for a bit of a rebound, as long as there isn't any bad news. As far as Tesla goes, let's check out Tesla real quick. Tesla's getting very tight. It's going to likely trade kind of sideways. And I think as time goes on, we could try to retest this trend line. So we might actually see a bit of a green day, a slight green day on Tesla. I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if that happens, especially because Tesla's getting more buying pressure. On the triple Q, if this thing could hold this 287 zone, well, it has the potential to try to get back to about 290. But if 287 fails, because we did close in a very weak manner, not as strong as many others out there. If this fails, I'm going to be watching this 286 level. It's going to be very important next to 285. That's a very important zone. If it fails, there could be a lot of downside depending on the market. But my prediction is we might actually see the market try to rebound and enter this chop zone between 288 and 290. We might close somewhere inside of here, somewhat in the green. For NVIDIA, this thing did crash to about 288. It's down over 2%. Might try to bounce off here. Might try to get it above 230. I don't expect it to be as strong though. And the dollar actually was down a little bit on Friday. This thing's actually down about it's down 0.44%. I'm thinking that the dollar might try to get a rebound later, but it's been on a bit of a downtrend. That's very interesting, which makes me think the market might try to rebound just a little bit. It really could. As far as the VIX goes, this thing was up very, very strongly. Huge rebound from the VIX. It actually hit almost 29, came all the way down to about 24.8. The VIX is very close to overbought territory, so it cooling off just a little bit to get to the 22.64 level would be completely normal. Right before CPI, I don't think the market's going to tank as long as there isn't bad news. I don't see us tanking immediately. I think the market might just hold up and just get ready, chop around a bit and just get ready for the big CPI. As far as the SQQQ goes, this thing is continuing to push up. We had a very, very nice move, and we actually are at a very big resistance zone around this 41 level. We could see a slight rejection here. It might actually retrace a little bit closer to about 40 before it does make another move from there. And then as far as Microsoft goes, this thing might try to bounce off the zero point 0.5 retracement line around this 247.4. This is where this thing bounced recently. Might try to get above, or might try to retest 250 to 254. And anyways, guys, I just want to keep this as short as possible. The market's very, very unpredictable. I don't really know exactly what's going to happen to all the banks for the week. We're still going to have to wait and see what the news says. But the news is telling us the market crash is here. And I find that a little bit suspicious. That's why I don't know what's going to happen on Tuesday and beyond. I don't really know. But I believe there is a little bit more likely of a chance that the market might try to rebound a bit. Maybe as soon as tomorrow. I think the market might try. It may make some nice attempts. But I think it's going to be very temporary, maybe lasting a day or two. It could even last the whole week depending on the data, right? Based off the options chain. But until then, that's what I'm essentially seeing. I think it's going to be very important that people pay attention to the news, especially any piece of news affecting your stocks, and also what the Fed is saying about the banks. So please be ready, guys. Thank you all so much for listening. Remain calm, cool, and collected, and I'll see you guys in the next one. The market to the moon because the long-term future is still incredibly bright, and peace out.